Thanks for coming to our session. So in this session, we're going to share with you this EES humanitarian guide that Tearfund has developed and how it's being applied in Bangladesh as an example. So what is EES? So let me give you a bit of a quick explanation. Next one, please. Okay, next one. So in Tearfund, since 5 years ago, we have developed 3 corporate priorities. This is one of them. So basically, we recognize that previously a lot of work has been done separately, either on environment or on economic side. But there's not really much of a joined up response. So we, this time around, we combine these two to make a joint effort to tackle both environment and economic sustainability at the same time, and also to recognize the program implementation as well as advocacy work to tackle it jointly, integratedly. Next one, please. One of this guide is developed to help emergency response or humanitarian response programs to consider that while we are pressured to respond the immediate needs, we shouldn't be restricted to think just immediate needs, but to think beyond response, literally, to consider the longer term impact on both environment and economic side. Next one, please. In this guide, we are saying that there are 3 things we want to achieve as an overall goal. That's the basic needs of the people in emergency situation are met both environmentally and economically. And then the humanitarian response should not cause any further environmental damage. And the people have equal access to environment and economic services. So in order to achieve that, we have set up 5 longer-term outcomes. 2 of them are related to environmental side, and 3 of them are related to the economic side. And in order to achieve these 5 outcomes, there are 10 principles, guiding principles, to help the team on the ground to develop their response programs. Next, please. And each of the principles are relating to the 4 different phases of emergency response as well, so that you can have a quite clear picture during each phase of the response, which principles you ought to consult with. Next, please. How this guide works is we look at each principle to help to design the project. It's also linked with the commonly used ICRC Code of Conduct, as well as the core humanitarian standards, so that it's a one-stop shop to help you to consider, to link up all those 2 international standards, as well as, in our case, another 2 internal standards. One is quality standards, and another is a tool working with churches and communities. Next. So now I'm going to hand over to my colleague James to explain to you how you apply these 10 principles into the project. Just a word of explanation. In any case, you don't have to use all 10 principles in your project response, but the key thing is to have both principles on both environmental side and economic side to to be included in your principle. It's like walking with two legs, so you can't have just one leg and hopping ahead. Over to you, James.
Thank you, Livelihoods and Kia, and all the friends joining here. Now I am going to share how we are incorporating all of these 10 principles in one of the world's largest refugee camps we are hosting in Bangladesh, Cox's Bazar. Let me give you an overview. Over 3 years ago, right now about 1 million people has been fled from Myanmar and took shelter in Bangladesh Rohingya refugee camps. So far we have about 36 camps, 200,000 family, and 5,000 acre of forest land has been transferred into these Rohingya refugee camps. So you can imagine that to host this large number of refugees, a lot of environmental damage has been already done. And so far within all of our activity, we are trying our best to restore those environmental damage is already done. It's not easy. So let's see how we are doing it. Next slide, please. Here is one of our main activities we are doing to incorporate or to address the principle number 2. There is tree sapling and fence distribution. We are doing thousands of tree sapling and fence distribution because since I just mentioned that 5,000 acre of forest is now refugee camp, so we have to restore those trees which already lost. So we are giving all of the different species, local species of tree sapling and fence as well. Thus those trees can grow for longer term, and they can get a long-term environmental, good environment, I would say. Next slide, please. Here, so when we do all of our activity, we try to incorporate how we can do some good in the environment, or at least do no harm to the environment. So here is 2 of the example. The first example, first we decided, okay, we will give the trees, and then we decided with the trees, this camp is a mountain area, high risk of landslide, and normal tree is not capable to do the land protection or stabilize those land. What we did, we provided the bamboo seeds. The left side photo you see, those are the bamboo seeds. So we have distributed a lot of bamboo seeds, thus those camp can be more stabilized and not having any more landslides. And the right side, here is one of our activity from the wash. We're supposed to build a drain. So instead of just building a drain, we decided, okay, let's put the drain where there is a high risk of landslide. You can see the left side of the drain is a lot of houses, and right side is like mountain. So we just build a drain that can protect the landslide and save those families. To address, this is also addressing the principle number 4, that is humanitarian actors understand potential environmental shocks and stress and incorporate mitigation and preparedness method. So this is also included within our activities. Next slide. Here within the camp, we are doing a lot of child-friendly schools and adult-friendly schools. So how we do when we build these child-friendly and adult-friendly schools, we build with the materials that is not concrete. Concrete infrastructure is not encouraged. We are not encouraging, because when these people will go back to their main homeland, it will be difficult for us to decommission those heavy concrete houses. So what we do the natural houses, like made with the bamboo, made with the green materials that's like locally available, bush. So those kind of materials we are using, and you know that we are giving a lot of livelihood options as well. These people have been heavily dependent on the forest harvesting. They just chopped out the tree, sold it to the market for cash money. So of course those was not good. So we decided how to stop that. We just cannot say to stop their livelihood. So we had to create a different livelihood, we say alternative livelihood for them, to reduce those deforestation, because we believe we just cannot say them to stop going chop out those trees. So right now we are giving a lot of alternative livelihood like goat rearing, cow rearing, poultry, and other available option, and we are already getting a good result. This forest deforestation is already reduced a lot. That is covered under our 5 number principle, that recovery, priorities, protection, services, livelihood, and business, and build resilience in those areas. Next slide. Here, cash for work. If you know about Cox's Bazar Rohingya refugee camps operation, you would know that not only the refugees, nearby a lot of host community people also get suffered. They has lost their house, land, jobs. So we are also doing some activities for them as well. Thus they can get back to their income generation. So a lot of cash for work we do. And what kind of work we select? We select such kind of work that will be environmental protection related, especially for river embankment, road construction, tree plantation, market cleaning, then drainage cleaning. So all of those activity that can help the environment. So we are incorporating all of our cash for work will be environmental protection related, which already covering our objective or principle number 7, that is humanitarian aid does not do any harm, and incorporate rebuilding of market, access to markets, and other economic approaches. Next slide. Solar light. So that is one of the activity. This camp is not covered under the regular electricity supply. We had to provide some light, and those people basically was based on oil burning lamps. So we have built a lot of solar light. Thus they can reduce the use of oil. Currently, a rapid number of families are not using those lamp and oil anymore. They are undercover with the solar light, household solar light as well, street solar light as well. And we are also doing improved cooking stove to reduce cost and hazard. At the first stage, people used to chop out the tree and use the normal stove. So we have invented and using this new improved stove with multiple hole that can reduce the use of burning wood. And we already got a good impact that almost half of the use of wood has been reduced. So that is very environment friendly, and it creates a very less smoke, which will be covering our objective principle number 8, that intervention incorporates low carbon technology and is efficient in the use of resources. So that's how we are also focusing on covering the objective number or principle number 8. Next slide. Since this is a very, as I just said, is probably one of the biggest refugee camp in the world in Cox's Bazar. About over 250 NGOs, INGOs are working already. We believe that one organization or two organizations, of course, they can impact some, but for bigger impact, we have to do advocacy for environmental protection. We are doing a lot of capacity building and advocacy with government, NGO, INGO jointly together. Thus, all the other NGO can think about environment and do no harm and try their best to incorporate with any of the other activities that can protect the environment. So we are already working with the government, NGO Bureau, and other NGOs that will be covering our principle number 10, that intervention encourages advocacies for policies and practices that promote climate adaptation and increase resilience. So far, we got some very, very good result that all of the NGOs are now thinking about environmental protection within their all of activities. Next slide. Lesson learned. What we have learned. We have learned a lot of things since already 3.5 years gone already. One of the major learning within WASH, we understand that DSLAS can be a very good activity for environmental protection. at the first stage, we built to have a lot of latrines, but there is plenty of latrine already. We decided we will not build any more latrine. What we will do, when the latrine is full, there is a lot of latrine are already full, we will just dislodge it. It will be low in cost and it will be good for environment as well, because we believe that building a lot of latrine will be environmentally harm, and as we can reduce the number of latrines. And construction of bamboo made drain, we are right now focusing on building drain made with bamboo. Thus, in the later point when the camp is gone, we can decommission very easily. As I just said, concrete, it will be difficult. So we are not using or decreasing the use of concrete. Building awareness to use the surface water, as I just mentioned, that a lot of tube well is already there, but we are proposing we should use the surface water. Why? Because the water level already very down. Half of the tube well is not working. So we are right now encouraging the community that please use the surface water, available natural water, that thus it don't hamper the groundwater, because the groundwater is already down. Instead of single borehole, instead of building too many tube well, we are encouraging one tube well with the pipeline supply, because building too many tube well, it will be high risk of contamination. Hygiene kit, we are giving the reusable and rewashable menstrual hygiene kits, not the one-time one. Thus, they can use several times, which will create less solid waste. Hygiene kit packaging are highly encouraged, using no polythene or plastics. We are using the jute or clothes bag for those kind of activities. Cash programming, as I just said, all of our cash programming is focused on environmental protected related activities like river embankment, tree plantation, road slope management, cleaning of drain, to protect the water logging or to solve the water logging. Next slide. Within our livelihood type of activity, all of our livelihood or income generation activity is focused on environmental friendly. We are giving such agriculture that is locally suitable and that can protect the environment. Even livestock also similar. We are encouraging the local species and what is already lost. So we are not introducing anything new from abroad or outside, a new kind of business or agriculture. We are encouraging the local suitable agriculture, livestock, considering the local environment. Within the protection, as I just said, within our child-friendly schools and adult-friendly schools, we are not using concrete. We are using compostable materials instead of any plastic or concrete. And we are building a lot of awareness session for homestead gardening. They don't have that much land though, but within their little land in-house, we are encouraging them to build some gardening that can create little green. Within the environment sector, we are focusing on waste management intervention instead incorporated with all of our project. Forest restoration with tree plantation, it's one of our top priorities. Local species tree plantation is again one of our main focus. We are not using any more new interventions or new species. We are giving the local trees. Recently, we have also done one of the environmental assessment to get feedback from the beneficiaries, what they are suffering, how they can use more environmental friendly activities. Based on those assessment, all the recommendation we received from beneficiaries, we already incorporated through all of the project. Next slide. That's the further information. I will hand over to Lulu. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Just to say last word that we also have another guide to help to develop and work on a development-focused project if you are interested. So, any questions, comments, please?
Please, Kia, go ahead if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you. Yes, sir. James, I just wanted to build on one of the points you talked about community participation. you spoke a few different points on where you got community engagement, but I was wondering if you could expand a bit on community, I guess, uptake of some of the technologies or the approaches that you were using, and also community input into some of the environmental methods that you were using. Thanks.
Hi, Kia. Thanks for the question. Yes, that is one of the activity we just started from this year to get the community feedback. To be honest, at the previous days, early days, we just supposed to give the guideline by ourselves. We thought what is good for environment, but later point we realized we have to talk with the communities, what they think about the environment, because they're living in those camps. So we already got a lot of how we are doing it. First, we are taking their opinion about different ideas. For an example, what kind of livelihood option they prefer. We are not proposing or dumping them that, okay, you have to do this goat rearing. We are getting their feedbacks through this assessment that what is good for you, what kind of environment you have in your locality or in your house. So based on their feedback, and also we are getting a lot of feedbacks, a lot of new ideas about solid waste management, about dislodging, about drain cleaning, a lot of ideas we already got from communities. So we already incorporated those within our project phases, and that's how we are incorporating those in the field. And so far we got very good positive feedback, because when those community people see that whatever they told, we are doing that, it really encourages them and feel good for them. And they also feel a lot of environmental, like these days they are also thinking about environment. So I think that will be some good achievement. Thanks, Kia. I hope that answers somehow.
Yes, thanks very much.
Hi, James. This is Ishani from India. So I just wanted to know, basically, you have been given, am I audible?
Yes, please go.
Yeah. So, James, you have been mentioning about a lot of eco-based solutions in the different sectors. So I just wanted to know that Bangladesh being one of the most disaster-prone countries, with every now and then we get to know about floods and cyclones. So how are these structures surviving in the disaster scenario? So what are the challenges which you or your team has faced during an emergency situation?
Hi, Ishani. Thanks for the nice question. Yes, that's very true. Bangladesh is, as far as I can recall, maybe number 7 or 3 in the high risk disaster country, especially for the natural disasters, and even also India and this subcontinent as well. And maybe today or tomorrow another category 1 is cyclone is approaching. So yes, a lot of natural disaster is happening. It became our daily life. And environmentally, sometimes we face a lot of challenges, especially for an example, when we give the trees, let's say we planted a lot of trees. When this flood come, normally cyclone bring the flood as well. So when this flood comes, sometimes many of the trees cannot survive. So what we are doing, we are giving such kind of trees that will be salt protected, like how, I don't know how to say it, like that can survive with the salt land. So that is one example. And when we are building this environmental protection dam and drain, we cover that it will help to produce or protect some kind of natural disaster. Because as I just said, the whole camp is a landslide area, and this is the monsoon area, monsoon season. A lot of high risk for landslide. And people's houses in the mountain, down in the mountain. So we are giving the those bamboo seed, those trees that can protect the soil and that can stabilize the soil. So that's some of the mechanism, and that's some of the challenges we are facing, and we are trying to find our local type of solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
I think with the last few minutes, James, could I ask you to share a bit more on what you discussed in the last group around the environmental protection working group and that mainstreaming across sectors, and maybe also a reflection on how you think donors have responded to the approaches being used. Yeah, economies of scale. Thank you.
Thanks, Kia. That's a very good point. That's one of our good example we are having. Since it's 3.5 years gone, we do have a very strong collaboration now. So it's not only Tearfund, all the other NGOs, all the other actors are doing same kind of environmental protective activities. How we are doing that? 36 camp. How we are doing the same activity, same type of interventions all around the camp. We have built a lot of coordination group under the guideline of ISCG, intersectoral coordination group. We have the wash sector, we have the protection sector, we have the environmental and livelihood sectors. So with this sector, we participate all the NGOs and we create our same guideline, and that's how we are implementing everybody the same kind of guidelines. So that's how we are coordinating, and everybody is considering the environmental protection in the same way. Thank you.